Party people, how are you today? Hope everybody's doing well. Welcome to Wisdom Wednesdays. I hope all of you are a little bit wiser after this call. Jet, go ahead and pull up the Bigfoot video for us. It's an inside joke we have going down here. But hey, guys, throw your cameras on. Let's get ready. Let's get excited. Let's get ready to take cool notes because we want all you guys to have a better life. We want you guys to make a difference in people's lives, have a bunch of fun, and make a lot of money. And that's how we roll here at Better. So we have an action-packed day for you. We'll probably end up maybe a little bit early. We'll be the nice teacher today and let the students out of class a little bit early. But we have a couple different speakers here. One of them being the player of the week, the better player of the week. Doesn't that sound fun? Don't you want to be the better player of the week, Adelaine, Gina Curry? Don't you want to be the better player of the week? Jennifer O'Hare, Linda. Jeff's the better player of the week every week because he is better. But anyways, so we're really excited to have all of you guys on. And then we've got Christine Restano is going to talk after that. She just had an event with 500 doctors that just graduated. And I got a call from our student loan guy. Said, "Hey, who's this lady that just threw in 20 referrals for student loan forgiveness?" So she's going to tell you a story, how she's thinking outside of the box and getting all that going. So we're going to go 1-2 punch. I got a cool little quick video for you later. And maybe if we're lucky enough, Mr. Levitan will say a few words later on, unless you'd like to say something now, Jeff. If not,
I would
okay,
actually.
good.
Actually, I would. Thank you, Dan, and thank you for hosting today while Curtis is on his way to a big trip out of the country. I just want to thank you first off for sort of taking the bull by the horns and helping run some of the marketing and interfacing between the field and being a liaison with some of our product partners. That's number one. Number two, we had a little bit of a soft opening of our new office yesterday, everyone. I wish you could have been here to see it. There might be some pictures and videos and things online, but we are getting more settled in, which I think helps. Now we can focus on projecting forward towards our goals of better serving you as agents and just fulfilling our promise to everybody to help you have a better life. On top of that, I do want to congratulate Chris for running. This will be a good training today, everyone. Finding out just different methods that people are using in the field to improve and maximize their marketing for this business. And you got to find a lane a little bit. I know it's been talked about a lot lately, but you got to find what you're comfortable with, what you like doing, and what's working and what's not, and hone in on a few things and get really good at marketing it. I think within the next week, you will all be, many of you on this call, but others that aren't, will be getting a big surprise. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but keep a lookout in your mailbox. And, hopefully we have your correct address. If you moved in the last period of time, but since you signed up, make sure we have your current addresses on file. You'll be finding out online what it is that's getting sent out, but I'm super as the original founder, you'll be very excited about what we're sending out to everybody. And last but not least, we gave out another $100,000 better ring to Jason Billings. He qualified a while ago, but it takes 6 to 8 weeks once you order those things to get in. And then it came in and there was something not perfect on it. So we sent it back in. I don't know if Jason Billings is on the call today, but I know he's proudly out there wearing his better $100,000 plus ring. By the way, it's the same ring for $1 million and $2 million and $5 million. We decided not to have to do all the administration of sending the ring back in, putting another stone in and polishing it up. So we give you all the granddaddy of granddaddies when you get that ring. So you look like a baller when you finally get your first one. It'll be the same ring as you make millions. So that's awesome. Anyway, I'll turn it back over to you, Dan. Thanks for having me on, and look forward to listening in on this great meeting. I'll be traveling, so I'll be listening and not necessarily watching.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Jeff. Give it a round of applause for Mr. Levitan. That's awesome. I'm excited. I don't even know what he's talking about. This big surprise. I know it's probably not a membership to the Jelly of the Month Club, but it's gonna be good. It's gonna be great. So, anyways, we're gonna hit you 1-2 punch with our two speakers because I know they're super super busy, and one of them's literally in the middle of an appointment right now, but she stepped by, and actually both of them are very busy. So we're gonna bring up Chris Restano for just a few minutes. Talk about what she did, how she did it, why she thought to get outside of the box, and what's the results to come for her in her better business and other businesses coming up. So, Coach Chris Restano, introduce yourself to the crowd and tell them your story really quick, and then we'll get Cindy up right after you.
All right. Hey guys. It's great to be here. I'm super excited to share this with you. And I actually went to Arizona to a conference. It was a doctor's conference of psychology. Okay. And it was a client of mine who invited me. Basically, she said, "Oh, you should come. You should come." My client's from Huntington Beach, but she was going to a conference in Arizona, in Phoenix, uh, and so basically, I said, "Well, I'll see if I can come." She said, "You can get a table. There's a lot of people that need help. Didn't you say you do student loans?" I said, "Yes, we do." And this client has been my client for like 6, 7, maybe even 8 years. And she has a bunch of financial products with me, right? But she heard me talking to someone about student loans, and she said, "A lot of the doctors have student loan debt and they probably need help." So I was like, okay. But I had to try to get into the conference because it was about, it was psychology, okay? And the conference itself was about energy psychology. So I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this before, but it's like sound healing and all kind of things. But I'm a chameleon. You guys that know me, I'll fit in wherever I have to fit in, right? So I basically talked to Dan, I talked to Kate, and we were thinking about, okay, this is what I'm going to do. So I had to present the table because I'm with all these people with like crystals and sound bowls and whatever, right? So I'm like, okay, I got to fit in so it blends. So I started making signs like said, energetically realign your finances, right? And energetically, like about energy, because it was about energy. So you guys have to be a chameleon in order to be able to speak, right? You got to talk their language, no matter what it is. So I was like, okay, so let's do that. So I set everything up. I went there and I used their symbol. They had an energy symbol, and I used their symbol. And in the middle of it, if you can see my fingernail, I put a dollar sign in the middle of their logo and started using that, where they were like, "Oh, I love this." So the draw to student loan debt basically launched everything else, just because I knew that a lot of these doctors had student loan debt. And you'd be surprised. I met somebody that had student loan debt for years, has 5 children, been in practice forever, but they never really had the means to be able to pay all their bills, take care of all their children, and take care of their student loan debt. So I don't know if we can help them, but it's really cool. But the best part about this is, and you guys that are missing this, you're missing it. You don't have to know how it works. So I had everything set up on the table where the student loans were the draw, right? But when they said, "Well, how does it work?" You know what? That's a different division. That's not my division. However, I hope they can help you, right? I hope they can help you fill out the card. And by the way, I made little cards because people were scanning. I also had my QR code, but the idea of actually getting a handwritten card where I could come back and enter it myself is way better, because people mean well and they might come by and they're busy and they might scan it and think, "Oh, I'll fill that out later." But we know what happens, right? They never get to it or they forget about it. Then they can't find it, whatever. So I printed out these little cards and cut them. I mean, I put a lot of last minute energy into this, right? And I had them fill out the card. And so that when I knew when the event was over, I could come home and just enter all this information in. And then also, when I said, I don't really know how it works, but I hope they can help you fill out the card. I'll have somebody call you. How hard is that? It's not even hard, right? But then I was able to draw them to the other parts of my business, right? I said, this is really like my focus. And then I had a retirement checklist, and it said, are you ready for retirement? No matter what age you are, you can start getting ready now. And then at the bottom of the checklist, I had my information on, and I said, if you need help, were you able to check all of these boxes? If you need help with any of these, give me a call. I can put together a complimentary needs analysis, whatever. It's just getting them to your table so you can talk to them. And I feel like the disconnect for a lot of people is you're trying to do everything like a robot or like a machine. And instead of just being yourself and connecting with people, I met so many people from all over the world. Actually, I actually got a new friend from Nigeria, and he told me a lot of his colleagues, they all have like accounts and bank accounts in the United States. And now we're talking because he's interested in a lot of different things, and his company actually, that's why I had talked to Jeff about him, Itawari, because he basically, his company actually helped the children in Sierra Leone during the time. And he was so taken by All for One. And he got so into it that he brought it back to Nigeria. And he called me this morning, and he's like, he has so many people interested in All for One. And you guys, I feel like, and I've always felt this way, I feel like God put me on earth to make sure I make the right connections, and not just me, but I should connect people with people. And I feel like I'm that connector. So we have all the tools. We really do have all the tools to help people. And if you're not using those and utilizing those, then you're missing the boat, because it's so simple. And Jeff has put together a plan for all of us to be able to flourish and be able to connect people with the right people that can help them have a better life. That's what we do, right? Have a better life. And you guys have events, put something together. And if you're not going to just create an event, find an event. There are events everywhere. I'm so into, and you know what? People in the medical profession and in attorneys, they all have events. And guess what? They all have student loan debt. And then that student loan debt will actually lead you to something else to help them financially, to help them. Some of these people have companies you can bring on Let's Chat to them. There's so much. It's limitless. And if you're not taking advantage of this opportunity right in front of you right now, you're missing the boat. You're missing the boat. So you got to get it together. I appreciate everything that Jeff and Dan, you guys have done. It's created this. It's working so well. And I want everybody to take advantage of this situation and be able to utilize it for sure, because no matter what business you're in, this is gonna benefit you. So, and if you guys, go ahead, Dan.
No, I was gonna say, thanks, Coach. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, just like if you need help, ask questions and don't be shy. Just put up signs. People will come to you. Everybody needs our help. And if you go out in the world just knowing that people need you, your whole outlook on everything is completely different. So contribute, right? All right, guys, love you.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Coach. How many referrals was it for the student loan?
Oh, I think I have 37. And
30?
not only that, yeah, I received there were like 480 people there, and I actually have 170 contacts of people that want to get in touch with me. Not necessarily for student loans, but for something that we have.
That's awesome.
Okay.
And think about how many millions of dollars she's going to save for those people paying their student loans back. She spent $1,500 to rent the deal. 37 student loans is $15,000. So she 10x her money just by doing that and thinking outside the box, right? On a free platform, by the way. So we're going to get into it. I know our next speaker she's on a time crunch too, but she was the MVP, right? MVP, right? And it was her and not her husband, Dave. We want to make sure that we all know it's Cindy and not Dave. But she's awesome. And we're just really proud of her, proud to have her part of the organization and helping build this little startup that's becoming a very, very big startup. So I want to give the floor to the MVP of last week, Mrs. Cindy Henning.
Hey, thank you so much, Dan. Listen, if you hear kids getting in the car, I don't know if you noticed, but I'm at the beach today. All right. So we're out here in St. Pete, Florida. Took the day, spent it with the youth group of the kids at the beach and having an amazing time. So my husband, David, and I, of course, we do work together, and we have known Jeff for years. Jeff and Cam were great friends besides business partners. And when this idea came up for Better and he launched this business, we were very excited. We were there at that meeting, with a handful of people when this started. And to have an opportunity like this, I mean, how simple is it? Like the last speaker you just had on here, ooh, I'm impressed with her. That's something. Listen, what I always tell people is TTP, talk to people. That's it. Simple. You got to talk to people. And what she said, I hope you guys didn't miss it, is big events. And that's what I learned from a billionaire. You build this business from big event to big event. So if you're not out there talking to people and going to events, you're missing out. So MVP, yes, this was all on me. I can't give David any credit for this, which usually is all him. So I will take credit for one thing here. But when the ERC came out, the Employee Retention Credit, I was like, holy cow, we give the government so much of our money, business owners, all day, every day. They're paying taxes, they're paying, right? And now the government's giving some money back. Are you kidding me? 100% take advantage of that. So I just made a list. Who do I know who owns businesses? And I made phone calls, just what you should do. And this is still going on for the Employee Retention Credit and the Self-Employee Retention Credit. So take a look at the program, go on the Better platform, read about it, make sure you know how it functions and how it works, and make some phone calls. And like she said, you don't have to be an expert in it. I don't know all the ins and outs, every detail, but I'm going to send you to the professionals. And that's what it is, guys, is just sending over referral. So with this referral, I called a guy I know. I'm a nurse. I've been a nurse for 27 years. I'm in the medical world. He owns a small home health care agency. I'm like, listen, I don't know if you qualify, but check it out and see. And sure enough, he got several $100,000. And Jeff called me. He's like, Cindy, guess what? You're getting paid 10 grand or almost 10 grand. And by the way, your husband, he's going to override you to the tune of $2,000. I'm like, really? So how cool is that? Send a referral over. These people are super happy. They got some tax-free money back from the government. I made some money by sending a referral. So it was a win-win situation just by talking to people. People need our help. And like, there's other things on the platform. The ERC I fell in love with because it's so simple. The healthcare, we work in the financial world. So when I do a financial strategy, oh, you don't have healthcare? Let me send this referral over. We got a lot of great things. The chat, whatever it is, that's awesome. Just refer people over, guys. It's so simple. Take advantage of it. Make sure you're talking to people. Get on here and understand what you're talking about, just enough to send people over and make some money and have fun with it. So we took our 10 grand today. We went to the beach. That's it. You need anything else from me, Dan?
That is awesome. I think that hopefully you didn't bury it in the sand, and we'll be able to find it one day. But awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, Cindy. You're awesome. Thanks for being the MVP, and hopefully you'll take your husband out to dinner, have a nice little dinner, Mickey D's or something, Burger King, something like that, and you guys have a nice time. Hey. Who couldn't use an extra 10 grand? Raise your hand if you wouldn't like an extra 10 grand.
Oh.
You wouldn't like an extra 10 grand? Just plop in your bank account one day. This ain't the place for you. So awesome. Thank you so much. Coach Chris got some value out of that. Cindy, we wanted to hear from the weekly MVP. The question is, who's going to be the week's MVP this week? Is it any of you? Well, it could be. If you sent in some referrals, you never know. It could be. So I'm going to show a quick little video because this is Wisdom Wednesday. I want to show something from somebody who was a very wise person in his short time here on earth, and created the biggest computer company in the world, right? From his garage. I don't know if you've heard of him. His name is Steve Jobs. Started a little computer company called Macintosh, Apple, with one of his business partners many years ago, but he's speaking at Stanford at this. And I want you guys to watch, take some notes, think afterwards. And I got a really cool story to tell you after about how easy it is to refer this, and then we'll get you out of here today. So I'm going to bring up this video really quick, and let me make sure I share my sound, and this should be good. So here we go. There you are. Here we go.
Today, I want to tell you 3 stories from my life. That's it. No big deal. Just 3 stories. The first story is about connecting the dots. I dropped out of Reed College after the first 6 months, but then stayed around as a drop-in for another 18 months or so before I really quit. So why'd I drop out? It started before I was born. My biological mother was a young, unwed graduate student, and she decided to put me up for adoption. She felt very strongly that I should be adopted by college graduates, so everything was all set for me to be adopted at birth by a lawyer and his wife. Except that when I popped out, they decided at the last minute that they really wanted a girl. So my parents, who were on a waiting list, got a call in the middle of the night asking, "We've got an unexpected baby boy. Do you want him?" They said, "Of course." My biological mother found out later that my mother had never graduated from college and that my father had never graduated from high school. She refused to sign the final adoption papers. She only relented a few months later when my parents promised that I would go to college. This was the start in my life. And 17 years later, I did go to college. But I naively chose a college that was almost as expensive as Stanford. And all of my working class parents' savings were being spent on my college tuition. After 6 months, I couldn't see the value in it. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life, and no idea how college was going to help me figure it out. And here I was, spending all of the money my parents had saved their entire life. So I decided to drop out and trust that it would all work out okay. It was pretty scary at the time, but looking back, it was one of the best decisions I ever made. The minute I dropped out, I could stop taking the required classes that didn't interest me and begin dropping in on the ones that looked far more interesting. It wasn't all romantic. I didn't have a dorm room, so I slept on the floor in friends' rooms. I returned Coke bottles for the 5-cent deposits to buy food with. And I would walk the 7 miles across town every Sunday night to get one good meal a week at the Hare Krishna temple. I loved it. And much of what I stumbled into by following my curiosity and intuition turned out to be priceless later on. Let me give you one example. Reed College at that time offered perhaps the best calligraphy instruction in the country. Throughout the campus, every poster, every label on every drawer was beautifully hand calligraphed. Because I had dropped out and didn't have to take the normal classes, I decided to take a calligraphy class to learn how to do this. I learned about serif and sans serif typefaces, about varying the amount of space between different letter combinations, about what makes great typography great. It was beautiful, historical, artistically subtle in a way that science can't capture, and I found it fascinating. None of this had even a hope of any practical application in my life. But 10 years later, when we were designing the first Macintosh computer, it all came back to me. And we designed it all into the Mac. It was the first computer with beautiful typography. If I had never dropped in on that single course in college, the Mac would have never had multiple typefaces or proportionally spaced fonts. And since Windows just copied the Mac, it's likely that no personal computer would have them. If I had never dropped out, I would have never dropped in on that calligraphy class, and personal computers might not have the wonderful typography that they do. Of course, it was impossible to connect the dots looking forward when I was in college, but it was very, very clear looking backwards 10 years later. Again, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something, your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever. Because believing that the dots will connect down the road will give you the confidence to follow your heart even when it leads you off the well-worn path, and that will make all the difference. My second story is about love and loss. I was lucky. I found what I loved to do early in life. Woz and I started Apple in my parents' garage when I was 20. We worked hard, and in 10 years, Apple had grown from just the two of us in a garage into a $2 billion company with over 4,000 employees. We just released our finest creation, the Macintosh, a year earlier, and I just turned 30. And then I got fired. How can you get fired from a company you started? Well, as Apple grew, we hired someone who I thought was very talented to run the company with me. And for the first year or so, things went well. But then our visions of the future began to diverge, and eventually we had a falling out. When we did, our board of directors sided with him. And so at 30, I was out, and very publicly out. What had been the focus of my entire adult life was gone, and it was devastating. I really didn't know what to do for a few months. I felt that I had let the previous generation of entrepreneurs down, that I had dropped the baton as it was being passed to me. I met with David Packard and Bob Noyce and tried to apologize for screwing up so badly. I was a very public failure, and I even thought about running away from the Valley. But something slowly began to dawn on me. I still loved what I did. The turn of events at Apple had not changed that one bit. I'd been rejected, but I was still in love. And so I decided to start over. I didn't see it then, but it turned out that getting fired from Apple was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. The heaviness of being successful was replaced by the lightness of being a beginner again, less sure about everything. It freed me to enter one of the most creative periods of my life. During the next 5 years, I started a company named Next, another company named Pixar, and fell in love with an amazing woman who would become my wife. Pixar went on to create the world's first computer-animated feature film, Toy Story, and is now the most successful animation studio in the world. In a remarkable turn of events, Apple bought Next, and I returned to Apple, and the technology we developed at Next is at the heart of Apple's current renaissance. And Lorene and I have a wonderful family together. I'm pretty sure none of this would have happened if I hadn't been fired from Apple. It was awful tasting medicine, but I guess the patient needed it. Sometimes life's going to hit you in the head with a brick. Don't lose faith. I'm convinced that the only thing that kept me going was that I loved what I did. You've got to find what you love. And that is as true for work as it is for your lovers. Your work is going to fill a large part of your life. And the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking and don't settle. As with all matters of the heart, you'll know when you find it. And like any great relationship, it just gets better and better as the years roll on. So keep looking. Don't settle. My third story is about death. When I was 17, I read a quote that went something like, "If you live each day as if it was your last, someday you'll most certainly be right." It made an impression on me, and since then, for the past 33 years, I've looked in the mirror every morning and asked myself, if today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I am about to do today? And whenever the answer has been no for too many days in a row, I know I need to change something. Remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make the big choices in life. Because almost everything, all external expectations, all pride, all fear of embarrassment or failure, these things just fall away in the face of death, leaving only what is truly important. Remembering that you are going to die is the best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose. You are already naked. There is no reason not to follow your heart. No one wants to die. Even people who want to go to heaven don't want to die to get there. And yet, death is the destination we all share. No one has ever escaped it. And that is as it should be, because death is very likely the single best invention of life. It's life's change agent. It clears out the old to make way for the new. Right now, the new is you. But someday, not too long from now, you will gradually become the old and be cleared away. Sorry to be so dramatic, but it's quite true. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary. Stay hungry, stay foolish. Stories from my life.
That was pretty good, huh? Anybody not get something out of that? Guys, you guys dropped into better. You guys might have different careers, things like that, but all of a sudden you stumbled upon this company, right? You're like, what? What do you mean it's free? What do you mean I don't have to go pass a test? What do you mean all I got to do is point my finger and refer to somebody else? What do you mean, have fun, make a difference in people's lives and make a bunch of money? What do you mean? All this different stuff, but it's true. I showed that because life is short. You got to ask yourself, do you love this game that you're playing here? Do you love what you're doing? If you put a little bit more love that you have in your hearts into this business, life's going to show you a lot more love. Just like Cindy experienced this last week with a surprise $10,000 check. Like Norman Manalili got a $100,000 check. All these different things. It's here for you. So all of you have lost something on this. You've lost a business, or you've lost an opportunity, or things didn't work out somewhere along the line, but you fell into here, right? Now is not the time to waste this moment. You guys have to understand, this is Apple. What do you mean, Terry? You were around when Better started, but you sent no referrals and you didn't recruit anybody? This is the game right now. You have the chance right now, ladies and gentlemen, to not only make sure that you're taken care of financially for the rest of your life, but your kids and your grandkids and your great grandkids are as well. That's what we built this for. This isn't here just to make a couple extra bucks. It's to change the world, the way we do business, the way we create a community where you have better relationships and better health and all these different things all rolled up into one. This is here for you, but it's not just here for you, it's for everyone. So don't be afraid to share this. If you knew you were, if you knew life was going to be short for you, but what you got out of the rest of your life was based upon the effort you put into this, how much more would you put in? How much more would you squeeze out of this? That's the answer, guys. Right? Maybe you don't need to do this for you, but do it for somebody. Do it for those 37 people that have millions of dollars in student loans. Do it for the people that are overpaying in taxes and overpaying in health insurance, right? That they're already overpaying that, and then they got to go pay $10 for milk at the store, depending on where you're living, right? Things aren't getting cheaper, are they? Are they getting cheaper or are they getting more expensive? Doesn't everybody need to save more money and make more money? So why are we waiting on this opportunity? Now's the time to go. I was literally talking to somebody at our kind of soft opening yesterday. We got into talking about taxes. He goes, "Hey, Dan," I knew him. He goes, "Explain to my friend what it is that you guys do at Better and in our other business, and we got into talking about Better. I go, hey, do you know anybody that overpays taxes? They gave too much to the government. He goes, me. I paid $1 million last year. I go, how'd you like to see if you can cut your bill in half? Right? He's like, what? He goes, I'm in. He goes, what does it cost? I go, it's a consultation with these people called PTA, Prosperity Tax Advisors. I go, worst case scenario is you pay $1,500, and if they can't save you any money, they give you your money back. Right? Best case scenario, they cut your tax bill down. What if you saved $500,000 on your taxes this year? What would you do with it? Would you give it to the All for One Foundation? I threw that out there, right? But what would you do with it? Think about all the difference in people's lives you can make. Because like I said, things aren't getting cheaper, they're getting more expensive. So everybody either wants to or needs to make more money. Everybody wants to be a part of a community where they improve themselves and they make themselves a better life, give themselves a better life. So that's what we're on to here. I hope you know that that's what you're a part of here. But you don't want to be the person that said, oh, I worked for Apple for the first year it was open, or 2 years it was open, but I left and I went to some other job and I missed it. My stock options would have been 20 million bucks for being a janitor there. Right? You have it right here. You have a new Apple, right? Except it's in a different form and it's called Better. So get after it. Go recruit an army. Go send a bazillion referrals out there. Go save people a bunch of money. Go have fun, make a difference in people's lives, and go make a bunch of money yourself. So with that being said, you guys, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. I hope you enjoyed your Wisdom Wednesday. I need more people on this call next week because we may or may not, depending on what our attendance is, have a very special guest and rolling out something very special for you next week. So call your teams, get them here. You missed the best training of the week. Make sure you don't miss next week. Promote this thing like there's no tomorrow. Give it all you got. Let's go have some fun. Have a great day, you guys, and have a very wise rest of your Wednesday.